Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to episode 5.
And what you're hearing in the background is the brand new record by one of our favorite groups, the Mavericks. And we thought we would chat a little bit about them tonight.
We want to talk about one of our favorite bands, the Mavericks. And we've been fans of theirs for a really long time. And how we started to follow them, all the places we've seen them in concert that have been absolutely amazing.
And one of the things when we were talking about what to talk about tonight, we were thinking about, sometimes we like to highlight bands that we like and music that we like. And it occurred to me that this is maybe the one band that we sort of started listening to more or less the same time, right, and have been fans of for our entire relationship. So
27 years.
Right. Well, and we got married in 1995, and so 25 years ago, and that's around the first time that we saw them live.
That's true.
So that's kind of cool because we both had our own tastes and we've grown to like similar bands and acts and so forth. But it's kind of cool that this has sort of been our band, yes, for the whole time.
And the first time we saw them was at a local place in our town.
Right. So let me just a little background about the band is that they're what I would consider to be a legendary sort of Latin country group. Just by way of background, they started out in Miami. The lead singer and the guy who is the principal songwriter and sort of the leader of the group is a guy called Raul Malo, who's Cuban American. And so that kind of explains the Latin influence in the band. And over time, they've kind of developed that a bit more. So don't let the label country scare you off.
Right.
Although I happen to like country music, not everybody does. And I was joking a moment ago in the outtakes that I always hear people complain about, when people write off a particular style of music, like, I don't like this, I don't like that. It's usually one of three things. It's usually country, hip hop, or opera. And I think you make a big mistake when you rule out a whole category.
You're missing out.
Right, because they're actually, those three, for example, are all great. They're just different. But so anyway, the first time we saw them was at a place called Fitzgerald's in the near western suburbs of Chicago, kind of near where we live. And that's kind of a legendary club in its own right.
Huge.
But we saw them, we were trying to recall exactly when it was, because we've gone to that particular place so many times. But I believe it was in 1995.
I kind of think so too.
And the reason why I think that's the case is because we saw them in the fall or thereabouts. It was a little bit cooler weather in any event. And like a week later, they were on one of the big country music award shows winning awards.
Yeah.
So, we saw them right at the beginning of that trajectory where they became really big.
And the place that we see them at is a very small venue, so you're really close to the stage. So it's kind of like being at just a small concert, and then to see them on TV the next week was kind of crazy.
It was really just amazing. And we knew that they were like on the way up in their career because we were trying to pinpoint it. The big record they had out at that time was called What a Crying Shame, which had come out in 1994. That was the first album where they had like legitimate hits on country radio. And it just my interest in the band initially was because my brother, sadly, late brother Tom, was a really, really talented guitar player, had sort of transitioned from rock to country. He was playing a lot of country, and he was the one who he told me around the time that we met, you got to listen to these guys. They're fantastic. And so that's when I started listening to them, and then we kind of got into them together.
Right. And the one thing that I think is a good band quality is the energy, the joy that you get watching these guys in concert. It's just like an amazing, happy experience the whole time. And it's a lot of people on stage.
More now than there were when we first saw them.
It's just amazing.
Horns and accordions, and because they really moved on to this Latin influence thing. And that, I always liked them. They're great musicians. But when you add the Latin flavor to the music, it's phenomenal. So the lead singer is, as I said, is Raul Malo. The original lineup was somewhat different, but they took a break in like the 90s and early 2000s and came back and reconstituted form. So it's Raul Malo plays guitar, sings most of the songs. Eddie Perez, who I want to say that I saw play with Dwight Yoakam years ago, but he's
amazing,
a great lead guitar player. Jerry Dale McFadden, the sharpest dressed man in country music, is the keyboard player, and Paul Deacon, the drummer, and then they have a host of other artists who play with them. One guy you got to highlight is Michael Guerra, I'm sorry, I misspoke, who plays accordion, he plays sax, he plays all these great bands. Great bands, great instruments, and again, that really adds a lot. So we'll post some pictures of the new record so you can kind of get a flavor of it. But so, like I said, they were big in the 90s, then they kind of, faded a little bit, and then reconstituted around 2013, and that's when we started listening to them again.
Right.
So we saw them the first time at this band Fitzgerald's, this club Fitzgerald's. They're on their way up. They became huge, country stars. Won Grammys, won Country Music Awards. And then we didn't see them again until 2018 when we saw them. And I don't know whether they were aware of this particular location where they played. They played at a club in the Pilsen neighborhood of Chicago called Thalia Hall. And the Pilsen neighborhood is a predominantly Latinx neighborhood. So it was just kind of cool that they happened to be playing in this very, very hip club. It's an old theater, but it's been, sort of updated, and they attract a lot of hip hop groups. And
our niece got married there.
One of our nieces got married there, right?
You can rent it out for a wedding
right,
if you want to.
It was really pretty cool. But so it was like a perfect location for them to play.
And also a great place to see a concert because it isn't too huge and you can be close to the stage and standing. Is there seating on the side?
There's a balcony that has seating, but we were just on the main floor.
On the main floor it's just standing, which is fine.
Right,
it was dancing,
really great.
So it's good.
It was really great. And then that was on their 30th, kicking off their 30th anniversary tour, as I recall.
Yes.
And then we saw them, the last time we saw them was just last year in 2019. We saw them in an outdoor venue in Aurora, Illinois, right by the Fox River. It's a beautiful venue called...
We've never been there before.
Right, River Edge Park. And, that's what they do. They have outdoor concerts. But that was really amazing. It was a continuation of the 30th anniversary tour. And it was the Mavericks with Los Lobos, which,
the best combo ever.
Yeah, I mean, just amazing. Amazing. And just everything about the show was great. But there's a couple things you got to know about this band. Again, don't be turned off if you are inclined to be turned off by the label country, because they're that, but there's so much more.
So much more.
And the great thing about that show was that it just sort of like highlighted this whole long evolution of their career from, more of a traditional country band to this really great Latin country outfit. And they've always done songs, at least some in Spanish. They did this song "Come Unto Me," which they do an English version of and a Spanish version of, which is really great. But what's really cool now, this time around, is this new album that they just came out with this year is called En Español, and it is entirely in Spanish. All of the songs are in Spanish. They're kind enough to provide English translations of the lyrics along with the Spanish translations for those of us
Let's learn some songs in Spanish.
We'll have to learn some songs in Spanish. But so it's just really cool. It's like this great, we were just listening to it tonight. And it's just really a neat venture. And it also opens up their music to a whole new audience, because now they're getting airtime and making success on the Latin pop charts. So that's really wild.
Amazing.
The other thing you need to know about the Mavericks is, aside from the phenomenal live show, is that Raul Malo just has one of those voices. Like, if you think of like the greatest voices you've ever heard in pop music, to me it would be like, Aretha Franklin, Freddie Mercury. I mean, he's up there.
Totally.
I know you'll think that's nuts, and I'm exaggerating. He's up there. I
100% agree with you.
On that level. Phenomenal voice.
And it's like, just like I said, if you feel like you're like in a bad mood or something, play any record, any song from any album, and it'll just turn your attitude right around because it's that good.
You know, this is not necessarily the most relevant factor maybe in picking music, but it also turns out that they're like really good people. You know, they're like really nice people when they're the things they post on social media are,
like
about
he's got like a normal family,
right, about families,
getting new dogs.
Yeah, Raul's family just got a new bulldog recently. But just one thing, that jumps out at me is they happened to kick off their 30th anniversary tour in June, which is Pride Month. So on their logo, which is kind of a Latin influenced logo, stylized, sort of like a Day of the Dead skull, but they outlined the logo in a rainbow pattern just because it was Pride Month. Like, they didn't have to do that, but that's the kind of people they are. They want to be welcoming and inclusive.
Exactly.
So, like, how do you not like these folks? They're great musicians. But they're also really great people.
Nice.
They talk about their families all the time. They're not political, but they're inclusive. And you can't really go wrong with high quality people making high quality music,
Yes, definitely. And then should we tell them about when we saw them the next time?
Well, that was the last concert we saw before the pandemic shut everything down.
Before we were locked in our houses.
And all the other concerts we had tickets for got continued.
Yeah.
The last concert we saw was Raul Malon's solo
7th.
show, March 7th, up in a place called Space in Evanston, another small venue.
Very small.
In fact, he walked right past us on the way to the stage
did.
and around on the way back.
And I touched it.
Yeah, and he waved hello to us. But it was funny because he played a Friday and a Saturday night. We saw him on Saturday night.
Right.
And I won't use his exact language because it's a family show. But when he came out on stage, he goes, "You people from Chicago are nuts, man. You are the bravest people I know. You all come out in the middle of this pandemic." And we at the time were like, "Nah, is it really going to be that bad?" And then like a week later, everything shut down.
It was like we got in at the nick of time.
Yeah.
But that was a solo performance by him, and just outstanding the whole time. It was just so great. And we... they do have seating there, but then we also stood in the back and watched, which was fine. We were by the exit, like he said, when he came out and back in. And for the encores, he walked right past us.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Hey, Raul," like we're best friends.
Yeah, they're great people. And so do yourself a favor, no matter what your taste in music, just listen to them. Get the new album, get any of their previous albums. They're just great.
So we'll see you next time.